Hey, this is Mrs. Reichelt, and I just wanted to include really quick here a view of a screenshot I took from the notes handout that's online. So I went through and I posted how I expect your study guides to look for those of you that are actually writing your notes in your study guide. This is kind of how I have it all broken down into. So I have little sections where I kind of write things. I know that some of you like to have your study guide look exactly like mine. So basically I just kind of shrunk stuff down and tried to write them right next to where they belong. So again, if this isn't working for you, if you don't want to take notes this way, you're just using your paper as normal. So I'm going to go ahead and go here. Okay, so the nervous system is made up of several different support cells, and we are really going to go through and talk about those support cells. So another word for support cells is called neuroglia. So these neuroglia cells are cells that are within the central nervous system, so the CNS, and they're grouped together, and they're sort of like they're glued together like nerve glue or glia. So anyway, the first one, you'll see this first is an astrocyte. So what I'd like you to do in your study guide right now is go through and color this picture of an astrocyte. And I realize that your study guides may not have copied perfectly, and that's okay. I want you to do this anyway. Do the best you can from your drawing, and I want you to just draw what an astrocyte looks like. So an astrocyte is the most abundant. It's the most abundant of the support cells, and this is going to act as a control. It controls the chemical environment. I'm just going to put ENV, environment of the brain. In addition, this is going to act as a barrier between capillaries and between neurons. So that's the astrocyte, and that's part A. So in number 3, part A, this is all the stuff that goes along with the astrocyte. The second type of cell we're going to talk about is the microglial cell. The microglial cell sort of looks like an astrocyte, except for it has a whole bunch of more little parts coming off of it. Okay, so a microglial cell is spider-like. And remember, I want you to actually go through and color one of the microglial cells. So pick another color and color this whole thing. So the microglia cells are spider-like, and they act as phagocytes. And a phagocyte is really just responsible for getting rid of debris. It's sort of like the garbage can. So a phagocyte, we'll say it's going to dispose of debris. And that's the microglial cell. Okay, then we move on to the ependymal cells. The ependymal cells, so each one of these, and remember I'd like you to color one. If it helps you to color all of them, then for sure go ahead and do that. But these cells are going to line the cavity of the brain and spinal cord. And it's also going to circulate cerebrospinal fluid. And cerebrospinal fluid forms the cushion. So I'm just going to, it's going to be the cushion that's found around the central nervous system. So make sure you actually go and color one of those cells as well. Okay, so next up we move into the oligodendrocytes, and go ahead and make sure you color one of those. Probably want to make it a different color, but the whole purpose of the oligodendrocyte is to wrap nerve fibers in the central nervous system. Central nervous system is a huge deal right now because the oligodendrocytes wrap the nerve fibers in the central nervous system, which is different from some other fibers in the peripheral nervous system. So please associate oligodendrocyte with the central nervous system. And let's see, so they wrap nerve fibers and they're producing, so when the wrapping that they use is called the myelin sheath. So the myelin sheath is what they wrap those fibers with. The next thing here is we have our sensory neurons. In this one, we're going to kind of define both the Schwann cells and also satellite cells. Okay, so I want you to color a satellite cell, and the satellite cell is really outside of the cell body of the neuron. So it's that little section that I kind of colored right now. And the satellite cells, their whole function is to protect the cell neuron bodies. So they protect the neuron bodies, or the cell bodies. Schwann cells, on the other hand, these are going to form the myelin sheath. In the peripheral nervous system. Okay, so the satellite cells form the protective covering for the cell body of the neuron, and then the Schwann cells are each of these little things, and they form the myelin sheath in the peripheral nervous system. So that wraps up part 3, or number 3 in your study guide, and I hope you found that helpful.